Hello, piggy people. So I wanted to go through all of my paw prints with you guys, talk about the pigs that each of these belong to, and the bunny. So these are paw prints that are from Peartree Impressions. So the kits are offered at my vet clinic, and then they send them to Peartree, that is in Canada, and they finish them. So I think you can buy these kits online. I will leave a link for Peartree if you're interested. It was just something that my vet clinic carried, so that's kind of how I got into them. So we'll start here. On the left is Rudy. She was a little pink and gray speckled skinny pig, my first female little baby skinny pig. She was absolutely precious. Unfortunately, she passed away from a freak accident where her jaw was broke. This is a horrible one to start on. It was during an introduction and she accidentally got bit and it broke her jaw. She was just tiny. She also had some health issues going on that weren't 100% clear what the issue was, where she always had a runny nose and mucus coming out of her nose, and she had a little abscess when I first got her on the side of her cheek, and she was on antibiotics a lot and could never seem really to get rid of her. If it was a respiratory issue, I'm not sure. But she was absolutely adorable and sweet, had a huge personality, and it was really tragic when she passed. And I apologize that we started on that one, but really, I guess if we go through all of these, they're sad ones. Next is Rugby. He was a skinny pig that you might not remember because he was from one of the original 4. So who remembers Rugby? Absolute sweet guy. He was about 3 years old when he passed because of a bladder stone. It actually ended up blocking him from being able to pee. So when he went into surgery, he was not doing well and he passed away during surgery. And it was so upsetting because that was the first piggy that I lost. And I cried horribly. Next was Grover. He was my third piggy, so he's way back when too. Grover was really feisty, and if I had known back then that it was easy to neuter pigs, I would have neutered him and got him a female, but at the time I only had males, and he never wanted to get along with anyone. He was a bit of a shy guy, but he got a little bit tamer as he got older. He passed away about 4 years old, so sadly, he got a respiratory infection and he fought it off, and it was, I think, our 2-week checkup, and he seemed great, and then all of a sudden, like 3 days later, he just took a turn for the worst and passed away. It was really sudden and unexpected. And then Barnaby. Barnaby was my first skinny pig. You guys should go back to the channel to see Barnaby. Oh, he was so precious and sweet and really tame and absolutely adorable. Barnaby passed away as a senior from heart failure, which that can happen. It was very sad, but at least he had a good life. Ernie. That was my second skinny pig. He was buddies with Barnaby. Ernie lived to be in his senior years, but he had a problem with his spine, spinal stenosis. So it's where your spine kind of deteriorates and gets extremely painful. So he was on lots of pain meds near the end, and I had to choose to put him to sleep because it was so much pain. He was a really sweet little piggy, loved ear rubs. Next is Kelvin. I think everybody probably knows Kelvin. Adorable pink old man. He lived to be 7, and he passed away just from heart failure, kind of like Barnaby, due to old age. He was absolutely adorable. And then there's Hobbs. Hobbs was Kelvin's brother. He is the only piggy I've had who passed away in his sleep. So Hobbs a year earlier had a stroke, and I think it was about when he was 6 that he passed away in his sleep peacefully. Next up here we have Raisin. So Raisin, I got her when she was just a wee little thing. She had one eye, and she was from a pet store. They gave her to the vet clinic and asked if she could be adopted out to anybody because with one eye, they couldn't do anything with her. So my vet clinic cleaned out the missing eye socket and adopted her out to me. So Raisin lived to be a senior, but she did get dental disease, which sadly is what ended her life. Now on to Reese Bear. Oh, I loved Reese Bear. She was such a sweet, sweet soul. I got her as a little tiny baby for my one piggy, Nanook, because Nanook was so annoyed with every other girl or boy I tried her with, but she liked Reese Bear. And Reese, unfortunately, just like Raisin, passed away due to having dental disease. Nasty thing. Butter Pecan, my soul piggy, absolutely loved that girl. So I adopted her from a rescue, and she lived to be almost 7. But sadly, she ended up getting a bladder stone in the end that there was no way we could operate. She had lifelong digestive issues and was on medications for that. And my vet just thought the chances of her making it through surgery and not having her gut stop was very unlikely. So next is Littlefoot. Littlefoot went with Butter Pecan. He absolutely loved her. Littlefoot was so handsome. Who remembers Littlefoot? Just the cutest man. He was a neutered male, and he did end up making up my first herd that had a neutered male. He loved having ladies around. He was a skinny pig with orange fur on his face and a gray body. Littlefoot, it wasn't 100% certain what happened with him. They thought maybe he was having dental issues, but he went downhill so fast that we didn't even get a chance to properly diagnose him before I had to have him put to sleep. And then there's Huckman. I love this print. You can see his face in there, just like Littlefoot's. So Huckleberry, I got him from a rescue when he was just 4 weeks old. He lived to be a senior as well. I think he kind of got ripped off because he ended up having a tumor kind of in the jaw neck area that was most likely cancerous, but we couldn't operate on it, and it was ruining his teeth and he couldn't eat. So I had to put him to sleep. But I bet you he would have lived so much longer because he was still at 6 years old, a very beefy boy. Oh, I loved him. He was so cute. And then there's his partner, Apple Dumpling. Those two were the cutest pair. I loved them together. And they made the greatest little pair to be put into a herd. So Apple Dumpling I got from the same rescue as Huckle and Butter Pecan. And she was so sweet and lovable. And sadly, she had a lot of issues. She used to get yeast infections. And then, unfortunately, she got bladder stones and a kidney stone. And the kidney stone is what ended up taking her too soon because of the pain. And then we have Velvet over here. She was such a sweet piggy. So I adopted her off of Kijiji. She was living as a lone piggy, and when I brought her here, she was so terrified. But once she had friends, she really blossomed. And just like Reese and Raisin, unfortunately, she got dental disease, and that's what took her too soon. So up on this level, there's Nanaimo on the left. Nanaimo, she was friends with Raisin. So when Raisin came here, she was just little, and she went with Nami. Nami was an absolute sweetheart, and unfortunately, she had a heart murmur and got ovarian cysts. And when we did the surgery to help her, she ended up passing away later after her surgery was complete. I think it was about 6 hours later. It was probably too much on her heart. But we didn't have a choice because the cysts were so huge they were blocking her from eating. Because it was blocking her intestines and collecting gas in there. It was really bad. So it was kind of my only choice, and sadly she didn't make it. Then there's Bullseye. He was a classroom piggy for someone, and then he was put up on Kijiji, and I adopted him. Sweet, sweet boy. He went with Butterscotch Ripple here on the right originally, and then he had Angus as a buddy, if you guys remember. So Bullseye loved to be pet, and he was very tame. He lived to be a senior, but he got wicked arthritis in his back legs and his knee joints, and it was incredibly painful, so I did have to choose to put him to sleep eventually because we couldn't manage the pain. Butterscotch Ripple, I adopted her from the same rescue as Apple, Huckle, and Butter Pecan. She was a really sweet pig. She took a while to kind of warm up to me, and once she was tamer, she was just a really sweet, sweet, gentle girl. Unfortunately, she got a bladder stone, and she made it through the surgery, but she did not make it through recovery, and it was very sad to lose her. I think she was about 4-ish. So technically kind of starting to be a senior, but it was very sad. And then there's Seymour, Mr. Bun Bun. So if you guys remember him, he was just a bunny that I had looked after for somebody while they were on vacation. I did it, I think, 2 times in a row. And eventually I was able to adopt him from them. And Bun Bun had a very spicy personality. He got definitely better as time went on, and he was absolutely hilarious and fun to have. But sadly, Bun, when he was about 6, got cancer on his nose, and I had to put him to sleep once the cancer was really affecting his breathing. It sucked. Then we got the little skinny pig family. So originally, a viewer of mine got Annabelle and Annalise, and they were pregnant. One of the babies was a boy, which was Angus, that they adopted out to me, that I put with Bullseye. Angus sadly passed away when he was about 4, was it 4.5? And it was from like kidney failure, and it was sad. He was such a spunky little boy. Jumping out of the cage is what he's known for. And then Annabelle there, she passed away from probably, it was kidney issues as well. It happened very suddenly. And Annalise over there passed away from heart failure. So they all passed away from like their organs giving out. So it kind of seemed like it was genetic because they were all roughly around the same age. Sweet pigs, very full of personalities for those ladies. When they weren't spayed, whew, they were a lot to handle, but once they were spayed, they got along way better. Now the top shelf, there's Nanook on the right. She came from the same rescue as Apple, Huckle, Butter Pecan, and Butterscotch Ripple. Same with Strawberry Shortcake. She's from that rescue as well. So Nanook was a very bold piggy, and after she was spayed from the rescue, they said she had issues with her digestion, and they almost lost her. And then later when I had her, I think I only had her about a year, she all of a sudden had some kind of stasis issue. Have no idea what started it. And even with medical care, I lost her. And she's one where I really don't understand what happened, what triggered it, or what went on. But it really sucked to lose her. And Strawberry Shortcake's another one that was really upsetting. So I had got her to be with Huckle. Originally I got her to be with Kelvin, but she beat the crap out of Kelvin, so she ended up going with Huckle. But I didn't have her very long, and she had an abscess that we got cleaned out, and she was on Baytril, and it threw her in stasis. And even with her being at a vet clinic for care at the clinic, she passed away because her body was in full stasis and we couldn't get her out of it. So I did not have her long, and it really hurt. And then there's Willie. Willie was a friend of mine. Was from a friend of mine. She had to move where she could not take Willie. And he was about 7 when I got him. So I didn't have him for a whole lot of a time, but he was blind, if you guys remember. Then he kind of started to have vertigo issues. And then he passed away pretty naturally just from being a senior. Woo, that was a lot, and my arms hurt from holding the camera out. So these guys are in my pet room. Pet room, oh my goodness. My toy room, because I do have collections. So I have room up there for more paw prints. So who do you guys remember? Who do you not remember? I love these guys. Some of the stories make me feel sad when I remember them. But I also have to remember that you just never know what can happen with small pets. And I hope their lives while they were with me were really fun. And I bet you any money, I'll have a couple cats sitting out here. Where are you guys? Where are you? I heard Nimmy knocking on the door. There's Sammy. Hi, Sams. Hi, Sammy. There's Nimmy. And there's Danny. Hi, buddy. So I always have this door closed because it has my Strawberry Shortcake collections and Toy Story collections, Care Bears, Jelly Cats, Tons of stuff. So I keep the door closed because I don't want them knocking things over. So usually when I'm in here, they just get really excited that they can come look at stuff. Because they're really snoopy. So anyway, guys, see you later.